I am the definition of working from home. Shirt, joggers. I did a question box where I asked people to ask any questions that they may have so I could answer them for a little bit of a longer video on here, because sometimes when you get lots of questions through social media and you don't have much text, it's much easier to be able to kind of do them in a bigger version like this. So we're going to get straight stuck into them because there are quite a few, but what I have done is I have grouped some together because there were some that were really similar. So for example, like struggling to go to the toilet, only go to the toilet once, that sort of thing. I've kind of done a constipation version of that. Let's start with the funnest question that I had was, do I prefer skips or quavers? It's quavers all the way. Quavers all the way. Anyway, let's actually get stuck into it. Number one, that I had a few of this style question is about baby probiotics and what do I recommend. I have some experience with using baby probiotics because of Danny's delivery, and the reason why you would potentially add a baby probiotic in is if your baby was either C-section delivery or when it's forceps or emergency forceps, meaning that the baby was not sat in that birthing canal for very long, or obviously if it was C-section, that the baby wasn't sat in the birthing canal properly at all. Everyone's delivery is different. Some people, they end up getting pushed back in, but those type of deliveries means that your baby wouldn't have been able to absorb as much or any of the mother's gut flora, and that gut flora is what really helps to build their gut microbiome, and when you've got a really healthy gut flora or lots of it and a good gut microbiome, that's when it can help with stuff like digestive problems, pooping, all of those sort of things. And with Danny, so he was emergency forceps, so he was assisted out very quickly, and he did have quite funny bowels for a while, very snotty looking, very grainy looking. So we actually went and saw an osteopath for more like neck health because of the way that he was delivered, and they recommended this brand here. So I will put this in the description. I don't know if you can see that on here. So these are little drops that you put into their milk, and with this brand, so obviously every brand will be different, it says to start off with 5 drops. Now, doing what I do for a job, I know that any live bacteria can also disturb your gut slightly and potentially make you feel a little bit worse before you feel better. So I always recommend to all of my adult clients, if you're going to add in a probiotic, add it in low and slow. So let's say, for example, you're going to be doing a shot full, like how I recommend Simproof, do half a cap for 4 days and then move on. So that's what I did with Danny. I did, I think, 2 drops for about 4 nights. Then I did 3 drops for maybe another 4, and so on. And I just kind of experimented to see how his bowels were. He did get a bit constipated. That is quite common with a side effect of any form of probiotic, so don't get too worried if that does happen. And a little bit gassy. The lower, the slower, the better. You should also put this in your final bottle or your last bottle before they go for a deep sleep. Now, every baby is different. Some babies don't sleep deeply during the night, but if you know, okay, this is their kind of bottle where they're going to be more settled, they're going to hopefully go into a bit of a sleep, that's the one that you want to be doing it in. So for me, that was our evening one. If you are breastfeeding, and if you can express, and then pop it into there, because it's going to be quite hard to administrate it otherwise. But that's my personal experience. They work really well for me. Every baby is different, so I would always say, if you're unsure, speak to a midwife or a GP, or like someone like an osteopath that has got training with babies, because that's the route that I went down. Hope that helps. Let's have a quick look. So the second question, bowel noises. So this is a bit of a funny one because there's no 100% answer for this, that if your bowel makes lots of noises and they're not hunger pains, because I don't know the history of this person. For example, if they are experiencing lots of wind, constipation or diarrhea, the chances are that the bowel is quite unhappy and there is excess gas, inflammation that is travelling through the system, which is making these noises. So I would always say, for example, if it is you're going to the toilet too much, is that we want to look at calming the bowel. So looking at reducing any highly processed foods, look at avoiding raw food, eating very slowly, don't eat on the go, to try and calm your system as much as possible, to relieve that kind of pressure and air that could be getting built up. You also want to be looking at, if you're not evacuating fully, go down the constipated protocol and start getting those bowels to move more. And that is going to, again, potentially release some of this pressure and air. It is a funny question. I get this a lot in the clinic, that they have all these noises, and it really will be dependent on your symptoms of what we need to do to get better. It is normal for our body to make noises, but if it's something that you feel is happening a lot and it's a concern to you, then I would get in touch and let me know what your symptoms are. We can look at that way, but always speak to a GP as well. I'm going to tick that one off. Here we go. Look how clever I am today. So the next question, I had quite a few about constipation, so I'm just going to put them together. And the questions were stuff like, help with constipation. I'm only going to the toilet every 2-3 days. I'm never going to the toilet, or when I go, it's really small, really uncomfortable, which is all a constipated bowel. Now, with constipation, we have to remember that the root cause is really important to find out. So I would always say to people is, have a look at, am I always stressed? What is my diet really like? What is that fibre really like? Do I drink enough water? And what is my mind-gut connection like? Am I really busy all the time? Am I an overthinker? Am I always on the go? Do I multitask? Because if, let's say, 2 of those you definitely are doing, they're the ones you really want to be addressing. But your overall help with constipation is looking at things like making sure that your fibre is really colourful and really diverse. So you're going for things like mixed seeds and nuts, mixed veggies, and you're having a lot of colour on that plate rather than just loads of broccoli. Second point to this is that you must increase your water when you increase your fibre. A real common mistake is that people increase fibre and they get even more constipated because the fibre becomes big. It's like a ruggage. It really helps to push things through, but if there's no liquid or lubrication there, it creates even more kind of blocks and stops. So really up your water. Stress management. Slow down. Don't talk as quickly as I'm talking now. Breathe. Focus on that brain-gut connection. If this is something that you are really struggling with, then I do have a Better Poop workbook. It's over on my website that has 20 pages of how to get the bowel moving better. So that might be something to have a look at. Next question was stress and the gut. The couple of questions were stuff like, my gut plays up when I'm stressed. I have a flare up when I'm really busy, or I get really anxious and I feel like I'm anxious into bowel problems. Bowel problems cause me to have anxiety. So it's kind of a round circle. This is common. This is a really, really common. I would say 90% of the clients that I have is because of your stress, and it's where I was sat. So I feel this question hard. There's no pill. There is no overnight fix. What we have to be looking at is focusing on calming, grounding the body, getting the body out of the sympathetic nervous system and down into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. Regulate your nervous system by doing stuff like cold water therapy, breathing exercises, yoga. Really focus on calming, get the blood to go slower around the body. You have to commit to this. This isn't something that if you just do once is going to work. If you sit and do a meditation once, you will hate it. So you must train the brain to know how to be able to switch off. You wouldn't run a marathon without training. You can't expect the brain to slow down without also having that training and knowing how to switch off. Again, I've got loads of more information on this on the Better Poop workbook. There's a massive section on stress. So if you want detailed step-to-step what to do, then have a look at that document. So stress in the gut, constipation we have done. Was a really great question that we had, which was, is it normal to feel unwell after having a colonic hydrotherapy session? Yes. And the reason for that is, now, first of all, actually, let me start with, first of all, everybody is different. Second of all, where you went, I don't know their protocol, and there are sometimes reasons why you can feel unwell, which I always cover when it comes to the aftercare of a colonic. Now, the reason why you can feel unwell is, there's a couple, is that if you are very constipated, for example, you have got excess toxins in your body because waste matter is toxic. And if you are then starting to eliminate those waste matters or that toxins from the body, your body is technically going through a detox. So I don't know if you've ever done a detox when it comes to sugar or alcohol or coffee, for example. You feel pretty rotten when you're doing that. And it's a very similar concept with toxins in the body coming out. So first reason why you can sometimes feel slightly unwell is that you maybe have evacuated quite a lot and it's a big toxic dump, which then makes you feel groggy, tired, a bit sicky. That's very, very common. The second reason is that if you've had a treatment and maybe there is still stuff in there, technically what has happened is that you have, let's say you've got a pond, the pond's been mixed up and all the stuff at the bottom is now floating up to the top. So you need to continue to get those toxins out. So my tip that I always say to everybody is drink loads of water afterwards. You want to sweat, pee the rest of these toxins out. You also want to make sure you're taking it really steady and not thinking that you can rush around after a colonic and go and just have a nice bath or do something more relaxing. Or sometimes you need more than one treatment. Some people are extremely constipated, even though they go to the toilet every day. And actually what we need to do is see you a couple of times to really get all of those toxins out. And that is when the magic starts to happen. Now, some people have one treatment and they skip out full of energy straight away. Some people it takes 2, sometimes people it takes 3. Some people feel no different after. It's so dependent on a person, so dependent on the state that they are when they walk into the clinic and if they listen to the aftercare. My biggest thing I say to people is that I can help you whilst you're in the clinic. I can't help you when you're not here. You have to commit to some of that aftercare. And sometimes that is more than one colonic, or it is going, oh, do you know what? I do need to drink more water, or I need to look at my stress. So in a quick version, yes, it is normal to sometimes feel unwell. I would always speak to your therapist or your practitioner and just say, this is how I felt, and they should be able to guide you in what you need to do. But if not, I hope that this bit of the video helps you. I think that was all of them. So there was about 20 odd questions that came in. So I've just basically molded them in to the categories that they fit into. So I hope this helps. If there's any further questions, honestly, just pop them in the comments on here and I will do my absolute best to answer them. If there's any questions on the questions that we've just had that you're still unsure about, please do send me a message and let me know. But for now, I hope you all have a splendid day and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.